Hello, everyone. Quick heads up before we start today's episode. The Global Agile Summit is happening on May the 4th. Yes, May the 4th, and even with a big blowout Star Wars party, you have to join. It will be online, and it's, like always, free to attend. We have 4 tracks this year that I'm really excited about, and I think you will too. Stick around to the end of the episode to know what they are. If you want to check it out already now, you can check it out at bit.ly/global agile 26. That's the numerals 2 and 6 at the end. So one more time, that's bit.ly/global agile 26. All one word, all lowercase, and 2 and 6 are the numerals 2 and 6. So stick around till the end of the episode and I'll tell you what's in store. But for now, on to today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the biggest challenge question of the week. This week we have with us Bhavin Shukla. Hey, Bhavin. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we work in a sea of complexity and unpredictability. There's a lot of people, processes, dynamics, teams, and that means that we're always facing new and evolving challenges. So Wednesday, the goal is let's explore one of those challenges in a coaching conversation and figure out what experiments we might be able to run to either understand better or overcome the challenge. So, Bhavin, what's the challenge you bring us this week?
So the challenge scenario is I'm working in an environment which is more like a scaling organization, or it was a scale organization who's trying to now descale certain ineffective practices, which is a good thing because we often talk of scaling, but we really talk of descaling. Amazing, right? I mean, if you think about this. Now, what that's leading to is everyone's having great ideas around how do we descale, which means every idea, if and when prioritized to implement, will induce some sort of change in the organization. And that's already started. And the change is in terms of, updating the framework that the organization has chosen, or just rolling out new versions of the tooling ecosystem, introducing metrics like a flow metrics, etc. A lot of these things are happening in a cookie cutter way. So what I'm seeing from a challenge perspective is before people understand what needs to change and how they need to adopt, what it means to them in a day-to-day work, and how's it going to most importantly help and add value. Those conversations are missing, and it's leading to continuous burnouts. Coaches around in the ecosystem know how to make this happen. It's just that this cookie cutter fashion of making change isn't helping.
So that there's a couple of angles we could take. I wonder what angle you would like to explore. The first angle is, of course, the scaling topic, because that can mean many different things, and that would be one angle. The other angle is cookie cutter or template process and tool adoption versus contextually aware tool and process adoption. And then the third would be process and transformation and the impact on people's well-being, like the burnout and, what can a coach do when what's being proposed actually leads to burnout. Which angle feels like the one you would like to take for this conversation, Bhavin?
If we could take the descaling approach.
All right. So tell us a little bit more. So I'm wondering what's the reason behind descaling, and then we can talk about what that means in practice. But if we start with the reason, why did this organization decide that whatever they had in place was perhaps too heavy, cumbersome, or bureaucratic, and they wanted to maybe remove some bureaucracy? I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
That's you're probably on the right path. Bureaucracy was one aspect. That was more like an internal, a problem with the organization that they knew. But there was always the, given the times we live in, which is very disruptive world situation we've lived ever, the whole dynamics around, where's the organization heading at? How do we become more leaner, and how do we become nimble and fast enough, and be the market leaders in what we do? It was that thinking as well, which was leading the whole mindset around, let's start descaling things that's not adding value.
Yeah, and that's actually a very common reason to think about descaling. And what I wanted to explore with you here is a little bit more of what was the original reason for the scaling approach they had taken to become that bureaucratic? Because I'm imagining that their goal of being the market leader and their goal of being a lean organization was already there when they adopted whatever scaling framework they adopted.
From what I understand, and what I've known talking to people working with leaders around the organization, is they wanted consistency in how the whole organization functions, works, the language that they talk. So they wanted this whole thing around consistency in everything, and our day-to-day practices and everything we do day to day.
Yeah. And consistency of language is actually a critical aspect of the work that
Yeah.
we do, because otherwise we can't, negotiate, agree practices, agree whatever we may need to agree, collaboration schedules, work packages, whatever there is. So there's the need to feel that we are lean, so feel that we're not being overburdened by unnecessary bureaucracy. But there's also the need to have this consistency, which might be one of the reasons why they are taking the cookie cutter approach, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a good thing. That's how I was initially. That was my initial comment, right? It's a good thing. They wanted consistency in language, tooling, makes things simple. When I speak to someone I haven't worked with any time in the past, so yeah, it's simplicity. I get it, but it comes with its own nuances.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe one angle to explore is, okay, but how can we descale while maintaining a language that is coherent enough for different teams to be able to work together? So I'm thinking of a very simple example. Like if we're all using Scrum, we all know what a sprint means, right? Like you all know that when the sprint starts, if you want to get something for that team to work on, you need to wait for the end of the sprint. And if we all know that the sprint is 2 weeks, you know that the maximum amount of time you wait is 2 weeks, right? But if there are teams working in Kanban, teams working in Scrum, team working in extreme programming with different levels or different duration of iterations, then it becomes much harder to have this negotiation about what gets done when, right?
Yeah.
So how are the coaches then being able to, I guess, balance the need for contextually aware practices and at the same time enough consistency for the organization to know what they are addressing when they are, for example, negotiating collaboration approaches?
So one thing that we figured out in the early days when we noticed this pattern is, while to your point, we got Scrum introduced, which comes with its own set of very clean framework around, the planning, stand-ups, etc. The whole introduction of Scrum was, this is what we're doing, this is what you do, and this is a template you follow in your meetings. What was missing is explaining people why. What problem does that solve? So, and people, the system's busy, right? It's not that anyone has a wrong intent or doesn't want to improve things. It's just that the system's so busy. If I'm not able to explain as a coach the why behind something, most likely I'm losing the person.
So
I'm losing
that actually brings us to, well, we need to identify some options, right? Like, so we have this apparently conflicting goals like consistency and adaptive to the teams. You have the need to have a shared language, but you also have the need to adapt to the teams in a way that doesn't give them overburdening bureaucracy, because any process that isn't understood is going to be felt like overburdening bureaucracy. What are some of the options you think the organization could take to kind of balance these different interests?
Yeah, so one of the options that the organization can take here is, like I said, the Scrum cadence comes with its own set of guidance, so to speak, and in the lack of understanding how or what that Scrum structure helps us achieve, since that's missing, people never really got off their older ways of working, their older meeting structures, the bureaucracy, having multiple meetings to discuss the same thing, and so you have literally two different ecosystems running in parallel with the same set of people. So, from an organization standpoint, to answer your question, Roscoe, what they can do or what could be done, and this is something that I've been probably discussing with fellow other coaches, is can we not take a stock of real situation where we go, here are the X number of meetings that you're having, and I'm talking of any team or not in particular, but let's say a team. What sort of meetings do you have? How much time do we invest here? Now, here's the Scrum structure. Are we addressing these things that you're trying to address in the other meetings already in Scrum events or Scrum ceremonies? Or is there a potential placeholder where these things could be addressed? Do we know this? So sometimes out of ignorance, it just happens that there's two parallel systems running in the system. And
have you guys, you and the rest of the team working on this, have you mapped these parallel systems that are in place at the moment?
Yes, we have. In fact, we ran a workshop called Million Meeting Minutes. So we actually, again, data, right? We observed multiple teams from multiple, I would say, business units, just to have a rough idea of how much time a team spends in different meetings and what sort of decisions are arrived or not arrived, which were expected to be arrived. We got this data around hours spent in meetings discussing things. Just one loudest person taking the whole floor. Everyone switched off, things like that, all the patterns coming out. And then we sort of worked with each of the teams to say, hey, these are the things you were trying to achieve. Yes, no. Just to validate that, we are not assuming as coaches, we are also validating what we've noticed. And then that we tried coaching them to connect to all the default Scrum events to say, this is how you could probably achieve it in lesser time to what you really want to achieve.
So I at least see one potential challenge here is that there's the assumption that there needs to be a standard approach. And you said it, cookie cutter, we've done this in the past and so on. And then there's also the assumption, and you validated that there's multiple processes ongoing. Well, what I see here is that if you have multiple structures that are active at the same time, all trying to achieve standardization or cookie cutter templated approach, all trying to address specific problems, it's inevitable that you will have a lot of bureaucracy or a lot of things that are felt as bureaucracy by some, but they are felt as essential by others.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, and have you been able to get those others that feel that those different aspects are essential to work together in creating a shared understanding of the different processes that are ongoing in that organization?
I would say that work is in progress right now. We're trying to get that alignment, getting all the people in the room, especially who are directly contributing or recipients of the information being discussed in these two parallel ecosystems. We're trying to align with them. We're trying to understand what the problems we're trying to solve with this structure and with the existing structure. What's the purpose, what the outcome would be or should be from each of them. So yes, that's probably a work in progress. It'll take time because we're dealing with a lot of heads off and the senior leaders. So it's
absolutely. But I think that's already quite a clear avenue for progress, right? Because you started with the idea of descaling, where how can you descale if you have multiple systems ongoing at the same time affecting the same people? It's not possible, right? You also talked about the goal of making it a leaner organization. Well, if you have multiple processes addressing the same problems, not only do you have bureaucracy, but you also have potential conflicting decisions happening in real time in the organization. So I really, it feels right for me, from my perspective here, that addressing these multiple systems might be a good avenue to explore. But unfortunately, we're out of time. Maybe that's a story we could bring you back and share once it's done, or at least there's a little bit more insight. So, Bhavin, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Vesco.
Hi there, friends. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the episode. So let me tell you what's coming. On May 4th, we're running the Global Agile Summit. It will be online, and I want you there. This year, we have 4 tracks, and each one is built around real conversations with practitioners. No slides, no keynote theater, just honest interviews with people doing the work, just like you. The first track is AI in organizations, where practitioners show what actually works. No hype, just AI that makes your Monday better. Happy Monday, everybody. And then we have the people track. Honest conversations about putting humans at the center of how we work and keeping them there. And third is Agile in construction. And yes, I really mean brick and mortar construction. Lean and Agile actual job sites. Field leaders removing waste, teams transforming how buildings get built. Stay tuned for what I think will be a super track on Agile in construction. And the fourth track is Agile in gaming, how game studios ship without burning out. Agile inside the creative pressure cooker. Over the years, we've had more than 12,000 participants since 2017, the time of the first summit organized with the podcast. And this year, we're making it easier than ever to join. You can register for free and get access to the summit sessions live during the event week. That's May 4th to May 6th. Or you can grab the practitioner pass and get immediate access to last year's keynotes from Jürgen Appelo, Gojko Adzic, and Mirete Kangas. Right now, even before the summit starts. So grab your practitioner pass and start learning today. Head on over to bit.ly/Global Agile 26. That's 26, the numerals 2 and 6. Sign up, and I'll see you on May the 4th. And one more time, here we go, bit.ly/Global Agile 26. All lowercase, all one word, and 26, that's the numeral 2 and the numeral 6. I'll see you on the conference floor.